Hello, audience. I'm here for the question of the episode. True or false? There are over 300 acupuncture points on the body. The answer will be at the end of the episode. Hey, y'all. I hope you're well. Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Boulevard. This is a podcast where we shine more light on healthcare, and our goal here is to provide more options to people looking to choose healthcare as a career path, regardless of their background. My name is Sena Kakpomo, and I am your host and creator here. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. Remember, you can tune in on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome back, audience. We are here for another interview. We are here with Dr. Vaughan. I think I'm saying it right.
Dustin Vaughn.
Dustin Vaughn. Okay, so the G is silent. Gotcha.
Yes.
We are here with Dr. Dustin Vaughn, and I'm going to have him come in, although you already hear his name, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does, his profession, how he got there, and how much he loves it. Dustin, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I'm an acupuncture physician. My specialty is integrative sports medicine. So I found this profession through my career as a firefighter. So I grew up as an athlete myself. I participated in all different sports growing up, from baseball to football. Played football through high school. Then became a firefighter paramedic, where I worked in a lot of emergency departments and trauma centers, as well as working in the field. So I retired out of the fire service. I tell people I figured out what I want to be when I grow up. So I retired from the fire service, went back to school. The first 2 years of med school, I was still currently employed full-time most of that 2 years at Arnold, which is a pediatric facility, a level 1 trauma facility downtown Orlando. So I was working there for the first couple of years of med school, trying to hold down everything at the same time, burning the candle at both ends. And I mean, you know that how that is, but yeah,
exactly.
it's brutal. But I think that a lot of the things that happened, and everything happens for a reason. So I believe everything in my life has happened for a reason to set me up in a position where I can do the most good for my patients. So that's where I went through med school. I went through at the Florida College of Integrative Medicine, where I got my Bachelor of Science in Professional Health Studies and my Master's in Oriental Medicine, where I then went on to take my 4 boards that we have here in Florida to become an acupuncture physician, where I'm a primary care physician here in the state of Florida.
Okay, so that sounds like a whole lot. So let's dissect that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
So absolutely. I didn't mean to hit you with all kinds of information too fast, but yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I love it. No, so you're a medical doctor. You went to medical school just like somebody who is perhaps, in primary care like I am, or in internal med. Is that correct?
Well, yes and no. So what we do is, so it's a very intense program that I had to. It was actually, they wrap up about 7 to 10 years. So if you go to China, it takes about 10 to 11 years to get the amount of education that I got in 3. So so they wrap up a bachelor and a master's program all into one, where you have to have, a minimum of 60 credit hours, 30 vocational, 30 general education classes, or credit hours, before they allow you into that school, where I far exceeded the vocational because I had, like 95 or 100 plus vocational, because I was a firefighter and a paramedic, and I had all these extra classes and things like that. So I far exceeded that side, where my general education met the requirements. So that way I incur a bachelor's in the program, although it's not focused on that, because you're getting your master's degree. And the master's degree then allows you to sit for your board exams, which I had to take 4 of them. But yeah, as an acupuncture physician here in the state of Florida, I'm a primary care physician. But yeah, so it is a med school. It's mostly focused on acupuncture and all of the other modalities of treatment, as well as the foundations and things like that make acupuncture and all of its modalities so effective.
Now, the route you took, is that general or most popular route for somebody wanting to become an acupuncture?
So
Acupuncturist.
yeah, I mean, typically most people, there's different walks for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I see a lot of massage therapists that transition into acupuncture and transition into that school. But typically, like my route is a little bit unique because not a whole lot of people go from emergency medicine and then
Mm-hmm.
transition to a holistic,
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, like what I do now, where I
Right.
help people achieve, health and wellness as holistic as possible and whole body, so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth.
Right. Right. So when you were in emergency medicine, what was the switch for you? What really got you to even hear and know about acupuncturists and then deciding to venture into it?
So when I give different speeches and when I'm out in front of the public and stuff, a lot of times I'm talking and I tell people I have kind of a saying I find myself using a lot, but
Mm.
I've figuratively and literally got sick of putting band-aids on people,
Mm.
because I see a lot of, and not all, but a lot of people go get their medical care and they see whoever it is and they just treat a symptom. And I'm not saying that everybody's lumped into that same category, but there are a lot of people that feel like they're getting just their symptoms treated and nobody's
Mm-hmm.
actually addressing the underlying cause.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I my passion is to dissect it and go down and unravel that onion till we peel those layers back until we can get to that underlying cause.
Mm-hmm.
Find out what's causing the issue. And I'm not saying that it's necessary in emergency medicine, obviously, because we have to
Right.
treat the symptom because the symptom is what's killing them.
Right.
And so I'm not taking anything away from that or anything away from any other medical doctor and the way they treat people
Mm-hmm.
or any other person in healthcare for that matter, because there's always a need and there's always a reason for why they do what they do.
Right.
I just have found that some of my patients have benefited from dissecting and really integratively working with they might have a different primary care doc that they're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and their doctor recommends and refers them to come see me, where we both work together collectively to help them achieve overall health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I work integratively, and also I consider it a partnership with my patients. So sorry to kind of broad stream and go like all over the place with that answer, but that's kind of that's what I do in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting. So did you ever did you ever see an acupuncturist before you decided to become one?
I did.
Okay. What was your
I have a
experience
little bit
then?
of a backstory to that. Yeah, so I guess I do have I guess that's my reason. So when I was considering, I guess, so when I was a firefighter, most firefighters, especially paramedics, will transition from like the fire department world to become a PA. Seems like
Mm.
everybody wants to be a PA.
Mm-hmm.
A firefighter. So most of my colleagues and most of my friends and everything. In fact, I had several station buddies that they did, and in fact, they went through PA school, became a PA, and but they managed to maintain their fire department
Mm.
gig as well. So they were
Wow.
doing both. But that seems like a normal path that most
Mm-hmm.
firefighters don't want to take. I was considering both that and nurse practitioner because it was a short route for me to bridge over to get my RN, because of course
Mm-hmm.
I work in hospitals a lot already. So it was a relatively short path for me to bridge over, get my RN, and then become a nurse practitioner. But I chose acupuncture because at the time, neither of those positions were standalone. So I would have to
Mm.
work underneath the doctor and share their philosophy and their theology and how they wanted to treat patients. And I chose a route that I could be a primary care and have my own philosophy and my own theories on how I wanted to, maintain and help patients achieve wellness.
Right.
But I did have an injury years ago, in an actual sports related injury. So I had an injury, went to see an orthopedic surgeon, then went to another orthopedic surgeon to get different opinions because nobody could figure out what was wrong with me.
Mm.
And then I went to see an acupuncture physician who treated me after so basically I had, my bicep wasn't working. So I was a firefighter, my bicep wasn't working. I know I sustained an injury. I told both of these different doctors that, hey, I was doing Olympic lifting. I caught a barbell, and I think I bruised it. Is it possible that I bruised a nerve? And then finally they come around and say, yes, it's called radiculopathy. I want to see you back in 4 weeks. And I was like, well, you didn't even know what was wrong with me. I basically told you. So anyway, long story short, I saw an acupuncture doc, and he treated me. And after the first treatment, he got activity back in my bicep, and some of the forearm that was numb before wasn't anymore. And then after the second treatment, I was back to 100%. So that's where I first had acupuncture. That was my very first experience with it. And I saw that there's just so much under my umbrella of care that I can offer to my patients to help them, that I gravitated towards it. That's kind of how I ended up in the field that I'm in. I'm seeing so many people achieve, and I'm surprising them, honestly, because they walk in the door and then they walk out like amazed that it worked. Like they have doubts. Everybody's a critic, and everybody's of course has their reservations, but yes. So they're like, how could that possibly? Okay, I'll give it a try. And then they do it. Wow, this is amazing. I wish I had found it sooner. So anyway, sorry to ramble a little bit, but yeah.
No, it makes total sense. Now, as an acupuncturist in your setting right now that you're working in, what demographic of patients are you seeing?
Okay, so I see. So originally, when I opened my own practice, I was very focused on athletes, movement mobility with athletes, helping them prevent injury or recover from injury. And that was kind of where my tunnel vision was. But I started to see some of the geriatric population come in, and they would walk in with a 7 or 8 out of 10 on their pain scale with a hurt knee or a bad knee, and then they'd walk out with a 2 or 3 out of 10 on pain and have so much more mobility, regaining a lot of their independence, and even in some cases their livelihood. And I saw I saw them, and it just brought me joy. So then I started really focusing on anybody that has any kind of pain on movement or mobility issues is where I focus. Of course, I still see everything, and I still treat everything, but my specialty and where I really put my focus on is movement and mobility related issues. Any kind of pain on movement, or lack of movement. I know I see a lot of people in the geriatric community, especially, that'll have like a knee pain or a back pain that'll keep them in or cause them to live a sedentary life. Then of course, with that lifestyle, all kinds of other health conditions begin to pile up.
Exactly.
Especially like pulmonary and cardiac issues and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm in that sense helping them to extend their life, because they're it's naturally going to happen if they live a sedentary life. Bad things are going to continue to pile up. So anyway, that's where I've kind of really started to see my I guess not my passion, but yeah, it's definitely been joyful for me to help those patients in that demographic, as well as the elite athletes.
Right. Now, as far as you're actually our first acupuncturist in the show. So how would you describe an acupuncturist to somebody who's maybe not familiar with the position?
Okay, so well, first, how I like to explain acupuncture to my patients that have never heard about it or never tried it is I like to tell people, and I explain that acupuncture is, so all of these different acupuncture points, and I have really cool visual aids that I have in my treatment rooms, and that I can show people, and I love visual aids. So because again, I'm taking on a partnership with my patients that come in, so we partner together to help them achieve wellness. But so I want them to understand what I'm talking about. So basically, what I try to explain is that all these different acupuncture points throughout the body are how I access your peripheral nervous system. So when I'm accessing your peripheral nervous system, I'm almost sending coding. So like I tell people that, if your computer breaks, I'm not a computer, I'm not an IT guy, but if your computer breaks or you're having an issue, you take it to a specialist who then may have to hack into your computer to change the operating system or change the coding to fix it, right? So because your computer is not doing what it's supposed to do. So I tell people your body is basically like that computer. So your body is not doing what it's supposed to do. So what I do by accessing these acupuncture points with these tiny little needles is it sends signals to your brain to do exactly that. It changes the coding. It helps your body understand what's wrong. It helps your body to focus on the deficiency and fix it itself. So it actually causes your body to heal itself. And that's how I like to explain it. I'm hacking into your body's nervous system, your body's computer, with the use of acupuncture needles that are virtually painless. And I can do so much good with just that. Like just the acupuncture, just the needles themselves, I can do a lot of good with just that. But I have so many other things I use, like electrical stimulation. I have a cold therapy laser. I have, instrument assisted soft tissue mobilization, you name it. There's all these different really cool things that I can do to also help prevent or cause your body to heal itself.
Right.
So yeah, but that's basically in a nutshell how acupuncture works. I guess that's the easiest way to kind of explain it in a layman's terms. But there's a lot of really cool things that happen with accessing these points, and because of the stimulation that sends signals to your brain, causes your body to release biochemicals. We all know as like endorphins, happy endorphins when you exercise and things like that. So there's different things that happen scientifically, but that's basically in a nutshell how it works.
Yeah. And what has been some challenges you've noticed in your field?
Challenges I've noticed mainly are awareness. Like people just don't understand how acupuncture can help. Even in my community locally. That's why I do spend some time, and we do go out and I speak to the public when I can to let them know that acupuncture and what we do and how we can help, because so many people don't know about it and don't understand it, or they maybe have heard about it, but they don't know how it can really work and how it can help and all this stuff. So basically patient education is huge. And I think that people to be able to learn about it and learn what we do and how it can help will then in turn help them the most, because otherwise, we collectively, we grow up in a society that, we go to the MD and the doctor all the time, and we don't know of other therapies out there, physical therapy, chiropractic care, massage therapy, and, all these other modalities of treatment, and how these things can actually help a person become well without having to just take a pain medicine or, you name it.
Right. And what are some growth opportunities for an acupuncturist, growth and leadership opportunities?
Growth and leadership. So, I'm always growing. I'm always continuing to educate myself. I just always want to expand my knowledge because I feel that that's also benefiting my patients. So that's a huge way to grow because, of course, there's lots of certifications. There's lots of different programs for myself. I do a lot of different things as far as learning more movement screenings, learning more orthopedic testing, learning more, always learning different things about kinesiology. But for other people, depending on their field of study or their expertise, I know a colleague of mine is a specialist in fertility. So she very much does everything and learns everything she can about fertility, female and men's health, those kind of things. We're all very well versed, but specialties, just like any other
field, right?
Yeah, any other field, like everybody has their specialty, or everybody has the area that they want to focus on. Doesn't mean they can't do everything. It just means they do that very well. That's their best.
Right. And as far as specialties, while we're on the subject, what are some specialties that somebody can focus on as an acupuncturist? You just mentioned fertility, and you've done athletes and geriatric. Correct. What are some other focus that somebody can have or interest and specialty in acupuncturists?
There's really the door's open for pretty much anything. So I know I have some other colleagues that focus on autoimmune disorders, inflammatory disorders, like we're looking at, systemic type immune or autoimmune or systemic inflammation, things like that, arthritis, arthrosis, things like, those are all areas that some people want to focus on. There's just a lot of different things out there. You name it, like from anything from, like we talked earlier, like I'm a sports medicine guy, so I'm a movement kinesiology
Right.
But yes, there's actually people that work specifically with children. They specialize in pediatrics. I've worked with pediatrics in an emergency setting, but I don't specialize in pediatrics I do work with kids. I do see a lot of kids, but I don't specialize in pediatrics, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's in today's world and today's climate, there's a lot of children that are dealing with anxiety and stress and things like that. So that's where I can really help a lot of these kids overcome and deal with that. And then that, of course, will change they're in a very impressionable age. So it helps them to be well longer, I guess, or get better quickly, because kids respond really, really well.
Right.
And they bounce back really, really fast, which is, they're like the perfect patient. Because they haven't had an issue for very long, so we, as a whole, we tend to grin and bear it for as long as we possibly can, and then when it gets to be too much, then we try to seek help. And then if you had just gotten and tackled it quickly, a lot of times you get over it quicker, whereas now you have to fight through it longer to get better, and so on and so forth. But anyway, so there's your question was about like different fields of study, and the doors are open for anybody, really, any areas that people want to focus on. There's just so much out there. Obviously, like intestinal health, gastrointestinal health, that's a really huge area that a lot of people suffer from. And that's a really good area for somebody that really is passionate about that to focus on, because a lot of autoimmune disorders stem from the gut, and there's a lot of things going on with leaky gut and Crohn's disease and celiac disease, you name it. There's all these different things that people suffer from that could really benefit from it. But anyway, there's a lot of different areas. There's so many different areas, just like you would deal with Western medicine. There's so many different, you have a gastroenterologist, you have brain basically, a neurologist, you have different things like that. So those are all fields of study that an acupuncture physician could really focus on if they wanted to. But it's also about the market, because how many you have to worry about, you have to maintain, you got to pay your bills. So at the end of the day, you have to focus on something that's also good, that does the most good for the most people, I guess, because
if the demand is not there, then it doesn't end up making sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I don't want to just focus on your little toe basically and say you're done with a little toe injury, because that's not how many people you're really pun intended, I guess, shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, that makes sense. And being in your position, I'm sure there's a lot of stress and perhaps burnout that comes with it. How do you usually have fun or cope with stress and balance work and life? I try to balance.
That's a loaded question with a complicated answer.
Right.
Because owning a business, I've been on Instagram every now and then when I'm looking for some mindless entertainment, just kind of scrolling through reels. But of course you see the one that says, I used to work for somebody, I used to work for the man, I worked a 9-to-5 job. Now I work for myself and I work 24/7, and that's literally what it is. Because when you have your own business, you have your own practice, you find yourself working until the twilight hours, basically, because you can't put it down, because you always got something to do, whether it be for ordering supplies or getting whatever set up for an upcoming event, or you name it. There's all kinds of things that are always going on. And it seems like you forget things all the time that you got to go back and deal with, and so you're working. Like, you'll sit down on the couch to try to relax a little bit, to just kind of take a mental break, and then you're like, oh wait, I remember, I need to respond to this mom real quick, because I forgot about that. I need to whatever, I'm using you as an example because I did that exactly. But so it's like, there's always something going on. So you have to find the little things that kind of give your mind a break, that give your body a break. It might be going to the massage therapist, or it might be getting away for the weekend, or just taking a break, putting the phone down and just going somewhere. That's what I like to do. Or just getting out on the boat, getting some fresh air and change of scenery. And that's kind of where I look at things to kind of give my mind a break. But everybody's different, so some people might be going to the gym, might be getting that exercise in, might be, because that is crucial to, our overall well-being, is to get a little exercise.
Right, exactly. And trying to squeeze that in. But no, that you're absolutely right. It's a different thing, like somebody like me, I go to work, 9 to 5 or whatever shift I have. I may stay 30 minutes or an hour past because I have paperwork to complete. But
Mhm.
my duties are set and straightforward. Whereas somebody who owns their own practice like you, your duties are just everything. Everything and anything that needs attention.
Right.
So I can totally imagine that. Now, last question before I let you go. Any word of advice or encouragement for anyone wanting to become an acupuncturist?
Um, I always tell people, if you're looking at doing it or you want to do it, definitely don't give up. Don't. I mean, everybody should have dreams and everybody should aspire to increase their knowledge and want to learn new things. Acupuncture is definitely a good place to do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
a little overwhelming at first, for anybody new to acupuncture or new to the field, because there's a lot of things that we talk about and that sound hokey and weird. But it's an old ancient medicine, where they talk about yin and yang and chi and blood and excess and deficiency and all this cold and heat, and it just sounds weird and hokey. I tell
Mm-hmm.
people to be persistent and just memorize it, and it'll all make sense eventually. I promise, it all comes together, because that's where I really help people to understand what it means on a Western medical side, because that's what we're all used to. We're all used to Western medicine, and we understand it, and for the most part, most people can understand what most of it means, but um, I help people to bridge that gap because I can kind of explain it in both. I might tell them, yeah, you're chi deficient, and I'll say that, and this is what that means, and I
Mm-hmm.
explain
Mm-hmm.
why, what that means, and oh yeah, have you ever been, worked out on an empty stomach and you felt like you're just exhausted, and you're maybe haven't skipped a couple meals, and you just feel run down, like you can just take, go lay down and go to sleep. That's kind of like chi deficiency. You're just
Mm-hmm.
out of energy. But yeah, so I kind of help people to understand different things and make sense of some stuff. But definitely don't give up. I would say, it's not easy. It's very intense. It's a very intense
Mm-hmm.
program, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all worth it in the end for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, Dustin, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time off on this. Well, it's morning over there, but over here, but you are in the afternoon as you're on the East Coast. So I appreciate I appreciate you
Absolutely.
spending your lunchtime with me.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You do the same.
Thank you. Bye.
And the answer is true. There are over 300 points of acupuncture on the human body. Isn't that crazy? Anyhow, I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Again, thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and joining me and holding on for this whole time. We'll still have a long way to go, but I just want to say thank you. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you. Please subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share. And stay blessed.